Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? It's Kelly, and I'm back to read you Chapter 10 of Completely Clementine. Hope it's nice wherever you are and you're having a wonderful day. So all you have to do is sit back and relax and listen to the book as I read it to you. So we're on Chapter 10 of Completely Clementine, and we're going to get started. So, here we go, Chapter 10. Margaret insisted on giving me a tour of the hotel suite from the couch. She read from a la-dee-blah-blah hotel booklet and used her crutch to point out the many elegant features for your enjoyment. While she read, I unpacked my things. I put my pajamas in the bureau, my toothbrush in the bathroom, and my poster beside the bed. And there, at the bottom of my backpack, was a surprise. My report card. I had forgotten to give it to my parents Thursday night. Oh my gosh, I had forgotten to give it to my parents. So I opened it. It was the usual stuff. All A's in math, all not A's in everything else. But at the bottom was a note from my teacher. The goodbye words he'd been trying to say to me all week. I read it, then crumpled it up, and I stuffed it into my pocket. "Why don't you kids go explore the hotel lobby?" Margaret's dad suggested. "I've got some work to do." He picked up his phone, and he sat down at his desk. Margaret made it out to the hall on her crutches, but you could tell it was pretty hard work. Mitchell and I looked at each other. Then we looked at the room service cart across the way. Then we looked at Margaret. "Oh, no," she said. "I'm not getting on there with all those dirty dishes. That thing is crawling with germs." But Mitchell and I explained that she could curl up on the bottom shelf, which was empty, and she grumbled and said, "Okay, but put down a sterilized towel first." We did, and then Margaret climbed on. Mitchell and I grabbed the handle, ready to roll. Before we even took one step, though, a bellhop turned the corner right in front of us. It was Raoul. He was wearing a frown, but you could tell he was having a hard time keeping it in place. "Allow me to take that off your hands," he said. Mitchell and I helped Margaret off the cart and back onto her crutches. Margaret hopped over to the door and slid the key card through the slot. "You two go. I need to rehearse for my commercial," she said, flapping her hands at us. "There's nothing to rehearse, Margaret," I heard her dad call out. "You won't have any lines. You just have to look happy if you get to go to the water park, and sad if you don't." But Margaret insisted, so Mitchell and I took off. And he showed me the vending machine and the ice machine, and he showed me a brass-plated mail slot where you could mail a letter right into the wall. Then we took the elevator down to the lobby, and that's where I saw the best thing of all. 2 thrones. I'm not even kidding about that. Big green leather thrones, set up really high on a platform. "Wow," I said. "So kings and queens come here too?" "Nah, dudette," Mitchell said. "It's the shoe shine station. Up you go." I climbed up onto the throne, and Mitchell pretended to shine my sneakers. Then I pretended to pay him, and then he pretended I didn't give him a big enough tip. Then he climbed up on the throne, and I pretended his sneakers were too smelly for me to work on, and that was the end of that game. So we jumped down. "How was the wedding?" I asked as we wandered down the halls, poking our heads into all the rooms that weren't locked. "Oh, fine," Mitchell answered, "at least until Margaret fell." "Did she ruin the ceremony?" "Nah, they were done with the I do part. Margaret was supposed to walk over and sprinkle them with rose petals at the end, but she insisted on skipping, and boom, sister down. I had to wear that suit for an extra hour while we waited in the emergency room. But it's over now, and hey, it's summer. No school, ball games every day." I gave Mitchell a "yay, everything's great" grin. But I guess he could tell it was fake. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Aren't you happy it's summer?" "Oh, I am," I said. "My grandparents are going to come when the baby's born, and I'll get to sleep on the couch for a whole entire week. My uncle's going to teach me some magic tricks, and I'm going to build a boat with a glass floor. and learn to ride a unicycle. You know, one tire. Plus, I'm happy about no school. I just wish I had said goodbye to my teacher. You didn't do it? How come? Well, I started to tell Mitchell that I hated saying goodbye, but now I knew that wasn't it. So I told him the real reason. Because he kept saying how I was ready for 4th grade, and it isn't true. I haven't done all the stuff he said, all the growing and changing things. He's wrong. Like what? Well, I pulled my report card out and read from it. Clementine, you've made such great progress controlling your impulses and thinking ahead about consequences. That stuff. I hate when people say good things about me if they're wrong. Mitchell skidded to a stop so hard I almost expected to see sparks flying out of his heels. Dudette, are you kidding? Margaret says you've gone a whole week without speaking to your father. Is that true? I looked up at the fancy clock in the lobby. Well, almost. In an hour and 7 minutes, it will be a full week. So what? You haven't slipped up once? I shook my head. Well, I almost did, lots of times. I wanted to talk to him, but then I'd remember just in time that speaking to him would be not speaking to him. Mitchell pulled his baseball from his pocket, smiling. So let's see, he said, tossing the ball up and catching it. You controlled your impulses to talk to your dad because you thought ahead about the consequences for a whole week. He caught the ball and handed it to me. Kills me to say this, Dudette, but your teacher's right. Oh, my teacher was right. I had changed this year, which meant I could have said goodbye to him, but now it was too late. When we got back, Margaret's father handed us the room service menus. We chose our meals, a grilled cheese and pickle sandwich, and a strawberry parfait for me. And then I got to call on the phone and order everything. Oh my gosh, half an hour later, 2 waiters brought us a cart right into the room and started sweeping off the silver plates, the lids on the plates, just like on the cooking shows I watched with my mom. As we ate, we played a game Margaret invented called Fancy Folks. How you play it is this. Hold your fork with your pinky finger sticking out. Squeeze your mouth in a tight O and take a tiny nibble. Put your fork down after every bite and tap your napkin to your lips 3 times and say, "Oh my, isn't this scrumptious?" That's the whole boring game, and I'm not even kidding about it. At 7 o'clock, Mitchell and his dad went into their room to watch the Red Sox game on their television. Margaret and I went into her bedroom, and she picked up the remote. My dad says we can watch a movie. She clicked the TV on and started scrolling down the list. You pick, Margaret, I decided. Just not Beauty and the Beast. Why not? Margaret asked. I thought you loved that movie, especially the dancing part. I do, I said. I did. I don't want to think about the dancing part tonight, that's all. But it was too late for that. Margaret picked a movie about some princess who formed a rock band, and we watched it twice. Once on the floor and once in our beds. And then we fell asleep. But in the middle of the night, Mascara jumped onto my bed and woke me up. And there, in my head, was the dancing part of Beauty and the Beast. So I thought, okay, fine. I give up. I will think about the Beauty and the Beast time. When I was little, my father took me to see the movie. There was nobody else in the theater because it had been playing so long. Everybody in the whole planet had already seen it. I had already seen it too. 6 times. But I wanted to watch it again because I love the part where Belle and the Beast dance while the teapot sings. Since there was no one there to yell at us, when that part came, my father took me up onto the stage in front of the screen, and we danced. My father and I danced right there with Belle and the Beast. On the way home, I thanked him and thanked him. My dad laughed and said, "Let's hope you remember this when you're really mad about something." I'm never going to be mad at you, I promise. Surprised that he could even think such a thing. My dad had pulled the car off the road and parked. "Yes, you will," he said. Look, you've got me for a father, and I've got you for a daughter for a long, long time. It's a life sentence. And since we're two different people, which is good, by the way, we're going to have lots of disagreements. We're going to get really angry with each other sometimes. No, we won't, Dad. I'll always remember you let me dance with Belle and the Beast. I'll never, ever be mad at you. It's not how it works in family sport, he said. I'm going to want you to be you, and you're going to want me to be me. But that will mean arguments, and sometimes they might be awful. But how about this? When we're really, really furious with each other, we'll remember dancing with the movie, and we'll figure a way around whatever we're mad at. Deal? I'd shaken hands with him, and we'd gotten back on the road. As we drove home that afternoon, I decided that he was just wrong. We weren't going to argue about stuff and get angry at each other. This week, though, I found out that he'd been right. We were different people, and it sure did make me mad at him. And now, as I sat in a fancy hotel room, with mascaras purring, making me miss my own kitten, and with the midnight noises of hotel strangers making me miss my own family, I was really hoping he was right about the last part, too.